When you sit down for lunch, do you ever think about where your turkey sandwich came from? Some of you will think about the kitchen, and others might even think about the farm. But most of you probably won't think about the years and years of selective breeding to make the lettuce and tomatoes what it is today. But nowadays, you might actually have to think about a lab with a team of scientists because of the rising technology in genetically modified organisms, or GMOs. With GMO technology, scientists can choose the color, size, texture, and nutritional value of your food before a farmer even plants the first seed. So how does this all work? Well, all living organisms have DNA in each of their cells, which is that iconic double helix shape that we all know. Along this helix are bonds, also called genes, that store all the information about the living thing, like size, lifespan, color, and height. DNA basically acts as a blueprint for all living things. What genetic modification allows scientists to do is to select specific attributes coded into the DNA and choose what to do with them, like turning them on or off, removing them, or adding entirely new genes. For example, scientists could potentially find the gene in blueberries that make them blue, and find the genes in tomatoes that make them red. These genes could then be extracted and implanted into the opposite plant to create red blueberries and blue tomatoes. Huh, weird. But this technology can be used for stuff that is a lot more useful than just odd color combinations. It can actually help solve major world issues. One of the most pressing issues is the world food shortage. There are simply too many people in the world right now to be fed with our current supply and distribution methods. GMOs can help solve this problem by adjusting how much food we can create and how long it can last. Already, scientists have been able to increase the size of many crops like corn, wheat, and lettuce, which means there's more food per plant. Scientists have also reduced the amount of crops that die by making them more resilient to their environment. This means making them poisonous to pests, resistant to pesticide, and able to handle changes in their environment, like temperature and precipitation. Scientists have also altered how long food can last by turning off enzymes that speed up the rotting process. There are even apples that have been genetically modified to stay white longer after they've been cut so they stay appetizing. GMOs are also being used to help solve the world issue of malnutrition and obesity. For example, there has been work to put more antioxidants that prevent cancer in fruit and to add more minerals and vitamins into rice. But despite all the great benefits, there are many concerns that come along with GMO foods. One of the largest problems is the possible effects that GMO foods can have on the rest of the ecosystem. Ecosystems are very complex, and it is hard to predict what will happen to a food chain if a crop has changed its genetics. A plant that is poisonous to its pests may also end up poisonous to important pollinating insects in the environment. Accidentally wiping them out would be catastrophic to the ecosystem. And when a GMO is planted, its seeds will get spread into new areas by the wind, carrying whatever problems it may have with it. Over time, the genes of genetically modified crops will mix with existing crops until there is no real difference between them. To avoid these problems, very thorough testing needs to be done before GMOs can be released to the public, and even then, some things may only show up years after it's been released. Genetically modified food has a vast potential, but also some very strong uncertainties. The technology has been leading into genetically modifying animals and even humans, which has its own set of problems. But without a doubt, the future of the food industry will be heavily influenced by this rising technology, and soon we may all find genetically modified foods in our lunches.